Andrew McCart, iFLTV, delighted to be joined by the tornado himself, Josh Taylor. Josh, it's the 24th of May, this fight. I'm in Italy with my wife. I'm going to have to cancel it. It's cancelled, don't worry about it. I've not tell you, but it's cancelled. Talk to me. We've done a Zoom interview a couple of weeks back there, and we spoke about this fight in itself and Ekow Essuman and how tough he's going to be. But you've seen him face to face. There was a little bit of laughing and joke, but when it comes down to business, if I know you, I know a Josh Taylor, that Hank is in there. So when it's business time, it's business time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all friendly and very, civilised here today. I've got a lot of respect for Ekow. As I said in the press conference there, we've spent a bit of time together in GB. We know each other relatively well. We're on good terms. We're on friendly terms. I wouldn't say we're on like pals terms, but we're on friendly terms. We know each other. We're friendly. Got a lot of respect for him. So yeah, there's not any bad blood there. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take his head off. And I feel like saying it, but there's plenty of time. That energy is for later on.
Do you, obviously, we know sometimes when you're riled up, we can get the best Josh Taylor. Sometimes the Ramirez fight, the Jack Catterall fight, all these fights come to mind where you've had that little bit of needle. But it's no go at that needle. Is it refreshing to maybe not have that needle and have that frustration going into a fight?
No, listen, I've had that before. I've had it with Victor Postol. There was none of that either. There was none of that. It was pure respect, respect before the fight. But go into it and go into the fight to hurt him. And that's it. That's the same here. The same applies here. Exactly the same.
You said up there that you chose Ekow to be your opponent, but then Ekow came back and said that he heard that he wasn't the first choice. Can you just give your thoughts or elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I don't know where I got that from. The first name that they put to us was Ekow, and we just took it straight away. So I don't know what other options would have been. I don't know any other names really, to be honest. So yeah, he was the first one that got given to us, and we says, yeah, let's go, let's take it, because we know that he's tried and tested at the weight. He's British Commonwealth champion. And I think he was EBU champion as well. So yeah, we know he's got good credentials, and we're like, well, that's a great fight. Let's take it. And it's a tough fight as well.
147. I think I spoke to you after the Ramirez fight and said 147. I think now, on hindsight, looking back at these last couple of fights, is this like a step too late? Should you have stepped up to 147 maybe after the Ramirez fight?
It's all shoulda, woulda, coulda, but in all honesty, I made 140 quite comfortably. Don't get us wrong, you got to do the boiling down to 140, but don't get me wrong, the only time I really had a real bad performance at 140 was the first Jack fight, when I really just crashed the weight. I was looking so far past them, it was unbelievable. I was talking about going to fight Terence Crawford and all that, and made an almost fatal mistake, and looking past them. Left the weight cut to the very last minute, and then hence why I looked like a skeleton on the scales. Ever since then, I've been great at the weight, and I've performed okay. Obviously the Teal fight, I was kind of injured, but I made the weight great. Still done okay. And then the second Jack fight, I thought I won the fight, to be fair. But it is what it is. We're here now, and it's up to welterweight. As we touched on there at the press conference, for new challenges, fresh challenge, back to being the hunter.
Ekow's got a good ranking with the WBO. You've got a good relationship with the WBO. I think that was the last belt that you held on to and defended when you vacated after the Jack Catterall fight. So you've got a good relationship with them. That the route you're going down? Beat Ekow, get that ranking, and then I think it's Brian Norman Jr. I think it is it?
Yeah, I think that's obviously part of the plan. Beat Ekow here and get a good ranking with the WBO to get a big fight at welterweight then. So yeah, that's the plan. That's the route. But first we've got this big task in front of us here. I know what he's like. He's tough, strong bull. He's got a good boxing brain as well. It's kind of underestimated a little bit, but he's good and it's tough. But when it comes down to skills and ring craft and ring IQ, I can outbox him and outfox him.
The talent up there, again, it was refreshing to see this press conference and have nearly every single fight on there being respectful. McGregor, Collins, Alois and Jameson, yourself and Ekow. The fact that those three fights, sometimes it's good to have the argy-bargy and the hate, or whatever you want to call it, but it's quite refreshing to have three huge fights and it's all just all about the fighting. There's no need. There's no animosity between you.
It's the gentleman's sport, isn't it? That's what it gets called, the boxing, the old gentleman's sport, and that's the way it should be, really. You know, the fighting and the beefs for the ring, and that's where it should start and end. But obviously, sometimes you get personalities that clash, and they just don't get along. You know, I've had it once or twice myself. I genuinely prefer it like this. You know, when it's nice and relaxed. You know, a bit respectful, but at the same time, you know, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, Hank's going to get you. The flag bearer of Scotland now. Alex Arthur's done it. Ricky Byrne's done it. You're doing it. The pressure that, again, you spoke about. I've said this to you on numerous occasions. You don't feel pressure being Scotland's belt bearer, but can you see the next one coming through? When you look at Alex Arthur Jr., Drew Lemon, Lee McGregor, Nathaniel Commons, can you see the next, not Josh Taylor, not next Alex Arthur, but the next flag bearer for Scottish boxing up there?
These guys are great for it. You know, Lee and Nathaniel are great talents coming through. You got Lemon coming through. You got young Alex Arthur coming through as well. So you've got a lot of talent in Scotland, but we just get starved of opportunity. You know, we often get forgotten or looked out, especially when all the shows are down south and everybody else's managers and that are all working down south, and all the English lads get the opportunity. English and Welsh lads get the opportunity because they're down south where it's all happening. Nothing's happening up here unless something like myself or Scott Harrison or Alex Arthur or Ricky Burns. But it's every so many years, you know. So we get starved for the big shows in between the fights. The big fights, we get the talent gets starved a little bit in terms of showcasing their talent. So it's good. Every time I get the chance of a fight, I always try and push for it to be in Scotland, because I get the opportunity to try and get the lads in Scottish on the show and showcase their talents.
I got asked a question. I was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I got asked the question, who's the best Scottish fighter Scotland's ever produced? And I said, Josh Taylor probably agree with me. It'll be Ken Buchanan. But then he said, then I said, you know what, if Josh undisputed and becomes a two-weight world champion, I would probably say Josh Taylor ahead of Ken Buchanan, even though I said that Josh wouldn't accept that. But could you understand why people will put you in an argument now to say that because of the undisputed, the two-weight world champion, that people might actually nip you ahead of Ken Buchanan? But I know how you feel. Yeah,
you can understand it. You can definitely understand it, and you know it's not a bad argument to have. You know, but even just saying that, it's like wow. But me, honestly, I've said this in interviews so many times, just being in the same breath as Ken Buchanan and achieved what he achieved, you know, to emulate him, you know, and the way we done it on our fights, you know, against all odds, so away abroad, well, come back, there's nobody allowed to come to see me at the airport because of the daft lockdown shit. But then I had to come back to Preston Pans, and you know the streets were filled, but I wasn't allowed to stop and get out the car and all that carry on.
I remember that because you're on the bus and you told me to get on.
So I wasn't able to get out the car when I come back from the airport and all that kind of stuff. Had to go straight home and quarantine for 4 days, which never happened. So it was frustrating. It was frustrating, but. Yes, it's very similar in terms of the way we've had our careers, and just to be mentioned in the same breath as Ken Buchanan is just an absolute honour.
When you look at the welterweight, a couple more from me before I let you go on. When you look at that welterweight division right now, it seems to be wide open. There seems to be a good pathway now for you to become that two-weight world champion. We had Crocker and Donovan last week, and these guys fighting for the IBF title. I know getting the opportunity to fight for an IBF title, it looks like. So it seems like, do you feel like for you to become a two-weight world champion, the path is set? You can get there because it's an easy pathway.
It's wide open. It's not easy by any means, by any stretch. You know, it's very tough. There's in the domestic scene alone in the welterweight division, it's pretty hot. It's pretty red hot. You know, there's great talent in the welterweight division in the UK. You know, so even domestic fights are huge. The tough fights, they're world-class fights. Domestically, you know, for a British title or whatever. You know, so they're big fights at welterweight, and it's one that I'm looking forward to setting about the challenge and getting in amongst it.
Well, final one for me then. Obviously, Ekow's right there, so you might want to keep your voice down and you might want to shout. I don't know. What's going to happen May 24th?
Just a win, man. Just a win, and I firmly believe that I can get him out of there as well.
But you know what? I'm going to pick up something. This is the last one. What Dev said in there. are we going to see the old Josh Taylor, or he said something along them lines, and you said, yeah, you're going to be performing to your best again, because he said we're going to see reminiscence of I can't remember what his exact words, but it was along the lines of the old Josh Taylor. Are we going to see that on May 24th?
Well, as I said, it's a refreshed Taylor, you know, as I said, because I'd completed boxing at 140. You know, there was nothing else for me to strive for and sort of challenge for. I'd done it all. You know, what else was there for me to do except for have big fights and money fights? But I'm not really about that. I want to become more belts to my name, more accolades to my name, and you know, and add to that trophy belt and trophy cabinet and go down as a great. So that's what's keeping me going, you know, and that's what's keeping me the hunger and the desire. You know, that kind of went at 140 because I was like, well, I've done it, I've completed it. It's just, what else can I do? So now it's like, right, I'm brand new weight. I'm not really expected to become a 2-weight world champion for a lot of naysayers out there. So, great. Looking forward to proving them wrong, adding fuel to the fire, and yeah, can't wait to get going. So yeah, I'm back excited again.
Josh, I'm going to say you're already a great in my eyes, my man. Appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, Josh. Thank you.